Confucius, an ancient Chinese philosopher, educator, and founder of Confucianism, is widely regarded as a sage. His ideas were adopted by many dynasties in Chinese history and became the mainstream ideology, which had a profound impact on Chinese society. In his hometown, the building complex commemorating him has undergone constant expansion and renovation throughout history. And this is the story of Confucius and this ancient site. In 551 BC, Confucius was born in the state of Lu, today's Qufu, Shandong Province, China, where he spent most of his life. After his death, his disciples transformed his residence into a temple for people to worship. Over the next 2,000 years, as Confucius' status grew, almost every dynasty would expand the temple to show respect. Today, the temple, as we can see, is as grand as the emperor's palace. Confucius loved learning since childhood and was particularly interested in matters related to rituals and ceremonies. At a very young age, he became famous for his extensive knowledge. In his 20s, he began teaching. He broke the tradition that only children of the nobility could receive education. Instead, anyone could come to him to study. Confucius had about 3,000 disciples in his lifetime, 72 of whom achieved great success. Confucius was born in the late Zhou dynasty. The Zhou emperor was nominally the head of the country, but the political power of each region was independent and did not follow the orders of the central government. The Lu state, where Confucius lived, was one of those powers. Confucius' political career was not smooth. For quite some time, he was a low-level official and was not able to implement his political ideas. He was promoted to an official in charge of justice in his 50s and resigned a few years later because of some disagreements with the king. He then left his hometown to seek opportunities in other regimes, which was not uncommon at the time and was not considered treason. Confucius' core philosophy is benevolence. People should be compassionate, helpful, sincere, generous, and play their roles well to form a good and healthy social order. The emperor must respect and love the people, and the people in return must be loyal to the emperor. The government should educate the people with morality, not just restrict them with laws. Unfortunately, the top priority of those regimes at that time was to expand their territory and annex their opponents. Those kings paid more attention to strengthening military power. Therefore, they all ignored Confucius' theory. After wandering between various regimes for 14 years, Confucius, then nearly 70 years old, returned to the state of Lu. From then on, he focused only on education and writing. Confucius passed away in 479 BC at the age of 73. His disciples converted his residence into a temple to commemorate him, with only several rooms at first. In 221 BC, China achieved unification, marking the end of centuries of division and war. After some time, the rulers eventually adopted Confucius' ideas. because they could potentially bring stability to society and consolidate their rule. Over the next 2,000 years, despite the changes in dynasties and regimes in China, the rulers of this land have always maintained their respect for Confucius. Almost every regime would expand this temple to pay tribute to this saint. Central governments of nearly all dynasties have also bestowed titles on Confucius' direct descendants, that is, the eldest son born to the wife, as a sign of respect. In 1038, the Song dynasty government built a mansion for them to live in next to the temple. They lived here until the middle of the last century. After Confucius died, his disciples compiled the conversations that Confucius had with them on various topics into a book, the Analects, which contains many of Confucius' sayings and ideas. This book is one of the most important classics of Confucianism. Many of the words and phrases in it are still frequently quoted today. By the way, the Chinese words tattooed on England football player David Beckham come right from this book, meaning life and death are predestined, wealth and honor are decreed by heaven. Many stories about Confucius are still popular. One day, Confucius and his students passed by Mount Tai and saw a woman crying sadly in front of a grave. She said, "My father-in-law died in the tiger's mouth before. My husband got eaten by a tiger later, and now my son has also been killed by a tiger." Confucius then said, "Why don't you leave this place?" The woman said, "There's no tyranny and heavy taxes here." Confucius said, "A tyrannical government is more ferocious than a man-eating tiger." After Confucius died, they buried him in the north of the city. This wooded area then became the cemetery of the Kong family. For more than 2,000 years, many descendants of Confucius have been buried here, with more than 100,000 tombs. In the center of this area is the tomb of Confucius, with the tombs of his son and grandson nearby. The Kong family has passed down for about 80 generations to this day. Confucius' theories and ideas did not disappear with his death. Instead, they were inherited and carried forward by his disciples and other scholars. Among them, Mencius is one of the most outstanding. People call him the second sage after Confucius. In Mencius' hometown, people also commemorate him, and that is what we will see in the next episode.